Well, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, I think you might appreciate this movie. Hey guys, welcome to Happy Wax TV. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, man. If you're a fan of The Walking Dead, you'd probably appreciate this film simply because it looks almost like it was just pulled from a segment of The Walking Dead. The movie is called Deadsight. It is directed by Jesse Thomas Cook, who has, I think he's got 6 or 7 movies under his belt as far as a director goes. Most notably, the one movie that stood out when I was doing a little bit of research was he did a movie called Monster Brawl a few years ago, which wasn't too bad. And I did a trailer review on this movie because it really does look pretty good. And don't get me wrong, I mean this movie is far from some of the worst zombie movies I've ever seen, but I think we've come to a point now where you really need a pretty good idea to make your movie stand out. And this, I don't know, man, like this movie, it wasn't bad, but it was just like watching an episode of The Walking Dead. And its runtime is about that long too, because it's not much more over an hour. I think it's like an hour and 12 minutes. So, and it's a lower budgeted movie too. So, I mean, you can only work with what you have, right? But anyways, it pretty much just stars like 3 people, really. There's Liv Collins, who plays Mara. She's the pregnant police officer. Then there's Adam Seibold, who plays Ben Nielsen, who is the blind person that we first meet, and he's in the ambulance as a patient getting transported somewhere before this all takes place or starts. And then Ray Barrett, who is Gator, who is one of the Hicks that Ben comes across in this film. But it basically starts off. It picks up with Ben being transported in an ambulance. You don't really know his background history per se, other than he's like handcuffed, in the ambulance, and he's blind. You find out later that he's not fully blind; he's just partially blind. And he has to continually put these drops in his eyes. I don't know what that's for, but I guess we do know what it's for, because near the end of the film, and I don't want to give spoilers, but near the end of the film, he can see a lot better than he can at the beginning. So we don't really know exactly what happened to him. And then we meet Mara, who is a police officer, and she's pregnant. And I mean, she has that to deal with, just carrying a baby, and just judging by the looks of her, she's pretty close to having the baby too. So the other thing too is this movie, again, it doesn't really say really how it happened, how the zombie outbreak happened, other than there's reference to, I think it's Gator actually, who says something about not getting the flu shot or something like that, or a tainted flu shot or something. But there really isn't a background as to how this started. And I think and also too, it just started. Like this is like the first day or second day of this outbreak, because nobody really knows what's going on. All the zombies look really, really fresh. And I mean, even Mara, who's a police officer, when we first meet her, she's just waking up in the morning. And then, after an hour in, she tries to make some phone calls or some radio calls on her walkie-talkie there, and she realizes that she can't get through to anybody. So she's, kind of figuring out what the hell's going on, just like we all are. So, so it pretty much takes place at the very, very beginning, early stages of a zombie outbreak, with no real reason as to why it's even happening. It's just, I think and it's a good reason they did that too, just to kind of keep you confused. A lot of zombie films, or a lot of horror films for that matter, try and spell everything out for you. So at least this tries to keep you guessing. And I mean, again, I was on IMDb, and there was like people like ripping this movie, giving it like 1 star and all this shit, and saying it looks like it's filmed on an iPhone and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? To those people, I can honestly say, fuck off. Like, really? Like, you obviously have no clue what these people go through to make a movie. So again, I'm not saying this is like a classic, but if you're some bozo that's sitting on his fucking mom's couch and you watch this movie and the best you can do is give it 1 out of 10 stars, then I don't know, man. You might want to find a different genre of movie to fucking watch. Because honestly, like for a rating, I would probably give this like maybe a 6. maybe a 6.5. Like it's again, it's nothing you're gonna talk about with your buddies at work the next day about how awesome it was. But I mean, it's an hour and 15 minutes. It wasn't that bad, you know what I mean? But again, it just looked like it was a segment of The Walking Dead. So if you're a fan of that piece of shit show, or what's the other one, the spin-off there, whatever it's called. I haven't watched them anymore. I gave up once they started to go into the prison. But it's just, this movie almost feels like it would just fit in that realm of kind of, TV shows. And that's about the same level as the effects in this movie too. I mean, there was a little bit of gore. The zombies look pretty cool. They almost look like, well, again, we were in early stages, right? Because it's the first or second day of the breakout. But it almost looked like a 28 days or 28 weeks style of zombie, or I guess rage person or virus, whatever. So I don't know. The effects were good. The only effects I didn't like were some of the headshots were CGI'd. And I mean, they didn't look very good. They looked pretty terrible, actually. So I wish they would have just maybe went like a practical route. But there were some cool Easter eggs in here. He did do some due justice to Night of the Living Dead, because there were at least 3 references to Night of the Living Dead that I picked out anyways. So there are some Easter eggs to look for in this movie. So, but yeah, considering it only has two people in it. I mean, and the pace isn't super quick, but hey, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it without giving spoilers, but it's basically just a blind guy and a pregnant police officer that kind of find each other in this zombie apocalypse, and then they just try to survive, really. That's all this movie is. It's like, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it just sounds like something that came out of a Walking Dead episode. You would just get introduced to these characters, and the whole episode is on their backstory or their story, and then we move on to another episode. So if you're into The Walking Dead, you'll probably like this movie. But I mean, if you're one of these bozos that sits on his mom's couch and goes on these IMDb and other places and gives this movie like 1 or 2 stars. I mean, come on, guys, like, grow the fuck up. I mean, I've sseen movies that are 1 or 2 stars out of 10, and this movie is not a 1 or 2 star out of 10 movie. I would give it like a 6.5. Again, it's not going to wow you, but you won't. I don't think you'll be fucking disgusted with it at the end either. So, anyways, movie's called Deadsight. It's available on all video platforms now. I mean, again, it's only an hour and 15 minutes long, so I mean, we're not sitting there for 2 hours watching it. So give it a watch, and if you have seen it, leave me some comments down below and let me know what you think. And if you haven't, go watch it, and then come back and let me know what you think. So, anyways, Deadsight, let me know. And as always, guys, stay scared.